like the beam, because it's time for Nerdy for 30, podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish movies for 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer, aka The Critic's Choice. With me, as always, the people's champ, Tim Keck.
You feel it, chase it, baby.
If you feel it, chase it. And right now, if you're listening to this, I am in Japan. So I thought it'd be kind of fun because we have been, watching a lot of stuff. I've been trying to watch a lot of recommendation shows and stuff from Reddit and other sources online to get ready. Been taking in a lot of anime. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun. I know a lot of our listeners also watch anime, for us to talk about the shows that we've liked the most, that we've come across, and kind of give each other some recommendations and give some recommendations to you, the listeners.
Nice. Yeah. Hide your kids, hide your waifu. It's anime talk on Nerdy for 30. We are.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. I'm not. It is fun that when this podcast drops, you're going to be in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Is it offensive that you were like, I'm prepping for Japan, so I've had to watch a lot of anime to prepare?
Not had to watch. It's was That's excited
the only
to get to watch.
Entertainment they have, I guess. Is their only cinema is anime? That's not really all I'm familiar with.
No, yeah, I definitely don't think that is an offensive thing or a problematic thing. Maybe I'll
I don't think it's problematic, but I would like to. I just want to make you feel as uncomfortable as possible, I guess, in that moment. But
I appreciate that. I was feeling a little bit cold, so it's nice to get a good sweat going.
Yeah, good to get that sweat on. Anime, yeah, man. I don't know. I haven't been watching as much lately. Actually, you know what was one that I was trying to think, because initially we're thinking like a Mount Rushmore thing, but I think this will probably be more of a general talking about. Is I was scrolling through the TikTok, and I've been getting like little like snippets of animes, and then trying to track them down. So I found this one I've been watching recently that's like something like, I forget, it's something like, I don't want to get hurt, so I maxed out my defense. and I just saw like a 30-second thing on TikTok, and I was like, I'll put this on while I'm working, and then I've just somehow watched like all 2 seasons of it. And the premise is just, it's like some VR video game thing. And these characters like get the video game, they play the video game, and now they're immersed in this world, and they just kind of walk around in it. And you have to make the stats for your character. And this one girl's just like, I'm just going to max out defense because I don't want to get hurt. And then just as a result of that, she can't be injured. So then she goes into the woods and gets attacked, and she can't like kill anything. But eventually they the bad guys get exhausted and die. So she just gains experience that, which is just like falls asleep in the woods, and then wakes up and she's leveled up a bunch, and then just tries to go around, and she just kind of stumbles backwards into being the most OP character ever, just because she's the only one who's like maxed out this one thing. And pretty relaxing and pretty chill, and I like that. And I think I'm gonna try more just like random premises. I think I've really been much more of like a shonen person,
sure,
where it's like Bleach, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, a little bit of One Piece, all the shows that like the guys who also lift weights watch.
Yeah. It's definitely, those are like the big four.
The
like
gym bro shows. And yeah, but then now I've been like, I should check out some of these like smaller things that are, I want a weird premise. I want like 12 episodes, and then I'll just move on.
Oh boy.
That sounds fun
Tim,
to me.
I got you. So like there's, one that we watched, Lauren and I just talked about this one. It's Odd Taxi is one. It's a mystery. So this is a situation. It takes place in a world. I would encourage anyone who's like thinking about watching this to just give it a try. Don't even watch a trailer. Just go for it. I'll give you all that you need to know. It's just in one of those worlds where like everybody's depicted as being an animal. So it's like, it's
Zootopia.
like a real world. Yeah, it's very Zootopia. And it's just about a taxi driver who gets involved in kind of like a crime ring situation. There's some like wrongful accusation. There's some seeing something you shouldn't have seen. And then as we dive into it, you start to find out that there's maybe some mysteries about the taxi driver himself. So that's a really, really good one. It's like a tight 10 episodes. It's one season. I don't think there's any way to redo it. So yeah, just look it up, and I don't think there will ever be more seasons of it. So pull that up. It's on Crunchyroll.
An animal taxi driver gets an offender bender.
Yeah, pretty much. There you go.
Pretty Pretty enthralling stuff.
There's corruption. I mean, that's one of those things. A lot of corruption
in the animal kingdom.
in the animal kingdom, Tim.
That is fun. I do like a Zootopia animal world. I think that's fun.
It's always a good one. I like for that too. For like city things like set in cities. Another one that I really liked is Paranoia Agent. Did you ever watch Paranoia Agent? They aired it on Adult Swim or Toonami back in the day.
I don't think so.
So it's like I would say it's like a psychological horror. The closest that I can equate it to, it's like an anime version of True Detective, because there is this string of murders that are going on, and it's a couple detectives who are trying to piece together how these crimes between people that can't possibly have known each other can be connected, and they all tie back to this one weird cartoon character mascot that effectively, it would be like if there was like a string of Hello Kitty murders.
That sounds like a Black Mirror premise.
It's wild, dude.
Yeah.
It's truly like, it's one of those things where it gets a little more esoteric on the end than True Detective does, but it's still to this day, I went back and rewatched it last summer. It's still to this day, like very chilling, very, it's creepy. It's incredible how like creepy this manages to be, despite the fact that it's just like just a cop drama.
I think my view of anime is like very narrow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, when I think anime, I just really want to watch cool fights.
Sure.
And realizing that there is other things out there where it's just anime is just like a style of art as opposed to a specific topic. Like it can be anything. It can be a drama. It's just drawings of like more serious stories. That's fascinating to me. Like I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's a medium, man.
It's
great.
interesting that, you're right. It's just a form of media.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty crazy.
You watch Cyberpunk Edge Runners, right?
I really liked Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That was cool. And I mean, Avatar: The Last Airbender, I guess, is like another American. Cyberpunk, I think it was like Netflix made it.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think it was like a US production, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting how like the popularity of anime is pushing, I think, more of these like American versions of anime, or more of these animated shows that can be a little bit more serious and less, and could just be like real intricate storytelling as opposed to just like, beating people up or goofing off, or I don't know. I guess it's interesting how broad the scope is.
Oh, for sure.
I think for this thing.
Cyberpunk is a great one. Like I love that world so much. I've tried to play the game. The game has always kind of bounced off me. Like I think I've started it 3 separate times and I've never been able to like keep going long enough to really have it hook me. But I do admit that the world is really cool. And there's other, like we need more things set in like cyberpunk futures, like Blade Runner. Like it's kind of frustrating that there's not more of this. So that's why I like when there are good shows that are set in universes like that, like Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Have you ever watched Cowboy Bebop? That's another one that's like one of the big.
I've seen like pieces. That's one I just need to watch. I think that's one I've heard so much about.
That one's a whole vibe. It's a great end of the night show. I haven't even finished it. I am taking it so slowly because I really enjoy it. It's like having a fine wine. And it's like, look, I know that I have a handful of these episodes left, and I have no intention to burn through it quickly at all. Because after that, there's no more. That's all I ever get.
Do you have any like anime takes? Like generally speaking, what are you looking for? What's good in anime? What's bad in anime? What grinds your gears in anime? What's something you can't get enough of?
Interesting. Yeah, like if I'm going through, so I got a Crunchyroll subscription. I've like had one on and off. Usually if there's just like a series that I want to watch and I can't find it anywhere else, I'll like do a month of Crunchyroll because it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And watch through it. I've had one for the beginning of this year just to get prepared for this trip and like watch more and try to like, there's some like fully cooly, like things that are names that I've heard for like 20 years and I've never actually watched. Ghost in the Shell is another one that I finally watched.
Yes, I haven't seen that one.
And I think when I'm like going through and scrolling, what will make me click into one versus ignore it, I don't tend to go for like ones this is just true in general. I don't tend to go for fantasy settings very much. There's a bunch of them that are set in basically like either fantasies or directly basically like fantasy RPG video games. Like it sounds like the Defense one is one of those, or like there's one that's like, help, I'm trapped in the help, I'm trapped as a slime. There's one that's like, help, I am trapped as a vending machine. There's like a sequence of like really long title
What if
ones
all
now.
those kinds of animes are just a cry from help from the poor animator who is locked in whatever this thing is?
I mean, I think that's the case, dude.
They're trying to get out. They're like, help, I'm trapped in a video game. And it's like, oh my God, they're actually in a video game. We need to save them. This anime has clues. That should be an anime.
Oh,
Just
there's
deciphering an anime to find the guy who's trapped in the anime. That could be good.
that could be. That'd be kind of fun. I'd like that a lot.
Yeah.
There's one that's like, it does seem like that's the trend too, with like a lot of these, like people who will make, if not the animators themselves, like people who will make the manga that it's all that like a show is potentially based off of. So like I know the guy who did I think his name's Kohei Horikoshi, who did My Hero Academia. He started off and is so like enthusiastic and was like stoked that everybody's like reading these books. And then it hit a point, like I think his initial plan was to have it run for years and years and years, like One Piece has. And then it seems like he really got put off by how like aggressive the stands are. And at one point, a character got killed off in My Hero Academia, and a fan saw him walking out of an event and threw like a pretty big rock at him and hit him in the head, and he was hurt from that. So like it seems like that incident has really caused him to kind of backpedal. And he ended up ending My Hero Academia, I'm pretty sure sooner than he had originally planned. It seems like it wrapped up a little tighter than it was to.
Yeah, I have not read the manga. I'm behind on the show, but it is one of my favorites.
Oh, it's so good, dude.
I think it's really awesome. It's like a good modern one where it just seems like something happens every episode.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, where it just took so much time to do everything. And they really milked a lot of this stuff because I guess a big part of it is you have the manga, which is like the comic book that all these are based on. And you only have so much source material. So like, it's like Game of Thrones, where the last season sucks because like they don't have anything else to compare it to.
Yeah.
Like the anime will try and catch up or keep in line with the book. But then if the next chapters haven't come out yet, then they do all this filler stuff, which is just made up for the anime. And that's not as good because, it's just not sticking it. Yeah. It's that world is pretty interesting, even though lately I've been like, I was trying to get into One Piece, which is like 1,000 something episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of just thinking I should just get back. I should just read the manga, just kind of give up, just get far enough ahead that maybe I can be current and watch some new episodes, or maybe I'll just go back and watch the fights because it is like a nice show to kind of have on in the background, but it is very slow and repetitive. And it's a little, I find it a little tedious at times, even though I really like the world and everything.
Oh yeah,
in it. But I've been getting a lot more back in the comic books. We did the Daredevil pod. I've been reading Daredevil and some other things. I was reading The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is very good. The book is very good.
I feel like The Walking Dead in a way is kind of the closest we have to like American manga, where it's just been running for fucking forever. Did you know? I think the Judge Dredd comic that all the movies and stuff have been based on that started back in the 80s. I think that is still running. I think it's like the longest continuously running comic series of them.
Who even does Judge Dredd?
Dude, I couldn't tell you.
Mirage.
Probably.
I don't know.
It feels very Mirage coded.
That the numbering thing is interesting too on comic books. You'll be like Spider-Man 500.
Ugh.
And they just like keep the series going and then they'll just stop it and then they'll basically restart it at 1.
Yeah.
So that people can feel like they're jumping on, but really it's really like comic book 600 or 700 or whatever.
Yeah, they'll call it, if you look at the numbering, it'll be like LGY 600 because it means like Legacy 600. So it's like, this is technically the 5th Amazing Spider-Man #1, but actually it's the 600th issue of the Amazing Spider-Man overall. All that stuff's, it's just, Marvel and DC, the big two, it's just completely craven money grabbing behavior. I never used to understand how Alan Moore, the guy that did Watchmen, I never used to understand how he could be such a successful comic book creator and have so much disdain for Marvel and DC. And everything I've learned about the companies over the years and like, how like the people who write these storylines that the movies are based on don't get any compensation really from it and no real recognition outside of like maybe their name will be printed in the credits at the very end. And it's like,
right.
This sucks, dude.
It's just like, why? Now you just get older and you're just like, oh, why does anybody hate any corporation? It's just like, it all gets bad. Everything gets terrible. Yeah. You know, like the bigger these things get, the more complicated BS is in the way, the more red tape there is. I was thinking about it's slightly different with these characters, but you have like whatever, Spider-Man goes on a run, and then another author steps in and does Spider-Man, and they're doing like a different version of Spider-Man, and then that comic book ends, and now there's comic book Amazing Spider-Man, and there's Stupendous Spider-Man, and Awesome Cool Spider-Man, and just a bunch of different books, and they're all over the place. Also, if you're reading this book and you want to know what happens, you got to check out Daredevil 2, and then you got to go to this one, and then actually this is tied up in Avenger or something. So even if you read 1 through 10, you're missing out on so many things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are things like this in anime or manga, but that does seem to be an advantage they have over our comic books, which is like One Piece is 1,000 things and it's the same story.
Yeah.
This is one continuous plot. This is one straightforward thing. It's the same character. They have to evolve this whole time. And I guess it can get repetitive, but it is one through plot. Whereas now there's so many different things. Like at no point, like if you're reading episode 500 of One Piece, they're not going to do another origin story.
No.
They've done the origin story. It's back at 1. If you want the origin story, you can go to 1.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you want to, like, it's amazing. They're not going to throw in random tie-ins to other stuff. I will say that, like, manga seems like an art form that has so much integrity. If it's hitting volume 500, they have managed to make a story that has a through line, like is an interesting story, run for, like, to get to 500, you have to exist for like 10 years. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, that's just 500 chapters, not even like, there's things with like hundreds of volumes. It's amazing, dude. And like, just from a strictly storytelling perspective, the only things that we really have like that are sitcoms and soap operas. And neither one of them are renowned for having great through line running stories. And I gotta say, like, you just have to respect that from a narrative creation standpoint.
You're right. A soap opera is the most equivalent thing. Or I've always heard that, like, One Piece is, or like Grey's Anatomy is One Piece for white women. And it's like, yeah, you look at Grey's Anatomy and it's one continuous story.
Yeah.
They've tried to do little spin-offs, I guess, but it seems like it's been one continuous story and it's the same people. And then they filter people out and yada, yada. And then Meredith Grey is in this, which, by the way, was she in Flubber?
Oh my God, was she?
There was, what was the one? It was one of the movies we watched recently. I think it was Flubber. There's so many cameos in Flubber, but Meredith Grey is like this. No, you know what it was? It was Daredevil. Daredevil had all the cameos.
Wait, where's she?
And
in
Meredith
Daredevil?
Grey is the secretary, and she hits on Ben Affleck for a second, and then leaves. Watching that movie the whole time, I'm like, oh, that's somebody.
Wow.
It was pretty interesting.
Looks like Octavia Spencer in the first Spider-Man movie being the person that's like, you want to get in the ring with Bonesaw?
Yeah.
It's like Octavia Spencer.
I love that.
Oh, it's always very fun. Man.
Yeah. But then you have the manga, right? Somebody writes the manga. They write the comic book for it. I don't know about you, but I can read like 1 million comic books in a day.
Yeah, you can
it's like 10 pages. You can just really just scroll through it and move on. It's very easy to burn through these things. So somebody takes 10 pages. I guess that's how it is when you read a script, right? Each page is a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like, you get 10 pages. Now you got to make that 20 minutes. Or you got 20 pages, 20 minutes. And you got to do all this animation stuff. Like at a certain point, it does get diluted. Imagine taking those 20 pages and now you got to do 40 minutes of stuff. You got to do 2 episodes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like you can just see how all this stuff really slows down and, building something long like One Piece or Naruto or something like that. It's like you're going to be watered down at some point.
It's wild. There's like so much. One thing I feel like you have to play to your strengths if you're going to adapt something like that. So one that I think about a lot is adapting comedy for comics and like for manga. And it's so much harder to pull off a joke well on the page than it is when you have, sound and motion to deal with. Like, it's so much easier to inform what's going on when you have other senses that you can play off of. Whereas there is something where unless you craft it really, really carefully, it's hard to pull off the same element of surprise when you have panels and the thing that you're going to be revealing is already on the page. So one that was like really helpful, this is something that's been like swirling around in my brain for years now. One that was really helpful in helping me articulate it was there's this artist that I follow on Instagram who's a comic artist named Luke McGarry, and he adapted the scene from Seinfeld of Now I'm Driving the Bus with Kramer. He adapted that into a comic, and this guy is a world-class like cartoonist. Like truly, like it does not get much better than this guy. And he's very funny, and still seeing it adapted extremely well into this form of comic by this guy, you lose. If I didn't already have the association of Kramer like doing this and hearing it in my head when I'm reading it, it wouldn't be nearly as funny. I mean, the first time watching the Now I'm Driving the Bus bit, it's just uproariously funny. And then to see then in reverse, there's a manga that I really like that also has an anime that's been pretty popular lately. Have you heard of Kaiju number 8?
Yes, I have not watched it yet.
Right up your alley. It's great. It's got like a 1-2 punch that's super personal to me, where this guy missed out on his big shot, and now he's in his 30s and he's decided to take another shot at it.
I love that.
And
we need more
old.
content for that.
We need more content.
We need more
for people
30-something
trying to do it in their 30s.
Who still got it.
So it's
the whole life's ahead of them.
It's that, which is great. It's an extremely funny series, and it's cool to see in the first volume. There's a part like the premise of the whole series is this guy, like it's a version of Japan in a not too distant future that is plagued by kaiju attacks. So giant monsters are coming in all the time, and so Japan's response to this has been to put together basically a strike force, like a special like kaiju SWAT team that they can call in. That's
kaiju
like,
SWAT team is awesome.
It's really cool. So they've
Just
got
that.
like a specially trained team. So he wants to be a member of this SWAT team. That's always been his dream because, you know, he suffered losses as a kid to kaiju, and now he wants to prevent people from suffering those same losses.
Oh yeah, dude, right there with him.
Early, like in the first volume, the thing that triggers the whole story is he gets basically possessed by a weird kind of kaiju, and now sometimes voluntarily, sometimes involuntarily, he turns into like a human-sized monster that is extremely strong. And so he is becoming a kaiju and fighting these kaiju. So
I
it's
like
like
that.
cool, but it's a thing where he can't reveal his identity because the task force that he's trying to work for would exterminate him because he's the exact kind of thing. It's kind of a Blade situation. He's a little bit of a daywalker as a kaiju.
Yeah, that's not right, man.
But there's a thing in like the body horror transformation earlier. There's a joke that they do in the first volume that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in like a comic. And it's framed so well. It's an incredible like delivery of this joke to the point where it's like, I got to take note of that, because if I'm ever going to try to do something similar, this is how you do it. Like this is how you do comedy in this format. The same moment in the anime adaptation. Not as funny. Not nearly as funny.
Yeah, it's interesting how that can work out. How interesting the medium is for things.
Yeah.
Right. And even like, you know, with this podcast, you know, we've been putting clips on TikTok, and it's like, that's cool. People like clips. People like watching them, but it's still not like specifically for TikTok.
Right.
There's something lost a little bit in translation by viewing it in that separate thing. By the way, you should follow us on TikTok.
Yeah, check it out.
But we should be doing more like TikTok specific things, or like, I don't know, like I think like stand up is another one where we're watching filmed stand up is so different than watching it live.
Oh yeah.
And it's night and day, and you can't. I saw somebody talking about, I forget what comic it was, but they went to go watch a taping, and they were talking about how like boring it was because they ended up recording the intro 3 times, and then they ended up retelling jokes. I guess they were only doing like one taping or something, so they ended up repeating all this stuff for the TV, but then the crowd lost interest and yada
weird.
yada. And so usually what comics do is they'll film like 4 shows and then splice together the best stuff for the one special. Right. And there's been exceptions to that. Like I think Zach Galifianakis did the Purple Onion one that was just one show.
That was one show?
I think that was just one show.
Dude, that's a fucking Michael Jordan game. That special is unbelievable. That's one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah. And I think
holy shit.
I think that's the special sauce. That's what everybody wants to think. But in reality, these are a bunch of different shows together. Like Chris Rock did that one where he did a bunch of different locations and then spliced them all together in one thing. And that was kind of like showing what the magic is of like, I'm saying the same thing a million times and repeating all this stuff. This is all scripted. I stand here because it's where I always stand when I tell this joke, yada, yada. And yeah, it's interesting how even when you like tell a joke even just doing stand up is so hard because sometimes you say something and it's so funny, or we're hanging out and we say something funny and we're all laughing like this is great. And then you try and make it a joke and it's not as good
Yeah.
and it doesn't translate. Or then you tell it at a mic or at a show or something, and the first time you tell it, it destroys. And then you tell it again, it's like exactly the same, and it gets nothing.
Mhm.
Like that's so it's so complicated, like with humor and comedy, and like so much of it is conditional,
Yeah.
right? Like you have to be in the right environment, the right ecosystem. Like when ever somebody was like, "Oh, you do comedy? Like, tell me a joke." It's like you don't understand how hard this is. Like the ceilings are the ceiling is too high in this room
Yeah.
for me to tell you a joke right now, you know? Like it's too bright in here for me to tell you a joke. It's like we're all standing outside at a parking. Like this is not the right the conditions are not right for this.
It's
You know?
infuriating how specific a lot of that stuff has to be, and like how I do think that there's like certain moments where it's like you can feel an electric charge in the air, and you know that a certain thing, like if I fall onto that folding chair right now, it's going to be like pants pissingly funny.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of, it's a spark. It's like a thing that you sense. It's not something that you can manufacture as easily. And it's crazy how much work goes into like getting a room for a show ready to do something and make it actually like funny and have any kind of like attention. We've talked a lot about how like the audience has to be uncomfortable. The ceiling has to be low. Like there are so many things that can be fighting against you. The sound has to travel in the right way. And I mean, it's amazing
gotta be
that
lit in the right way.
it feels like fucking like a dowsing rod looking for water. It feels like one of those things where it's like, or like trying to like put an offering out for pagan gods. It's like, it's wild how many we have to light the candles in this configuration of Atuman's name and utter the invocation, because all these different things have to come together. Otherwise, like, yeah, we can do a stand-up show in here, but it's not gonna really explode. Like it'll be fine, but it's not gonna
Right.
really pop off.
Yeah. Like it made me think about like improv and how improv, like really great improv in the moment, is like the performers are feeding off the room.
Yeah.
They're like, that got a laugh, so we're gonna keep chasing this thing. Like the audience is heavily involved
Mhm.
in a good improv show. So that when you go on YouTube and you watch that improv show, it all looks stupid because you're not a part of the thing
Yeah.
that is being made. So everything is just lost in translation for the form of it too.
It feels like a group drug trip where it's like
Yeah.
it will never, notoriously hard to film. The best filmed improv sets in the world, Middleditch and Schwartz, ASCAT, the old ASCAT videos and stuff. I remember doing improv in college and watching ASCAT, like the video they had then for the first time. And somebody in the group warned us ahead of time, like, hey, just so you know, like you can't film improv. Like this is not going to be as funny as it was to be there. So like this will be okay, but like you got to imagine that in the room this was like 10 times funnier to everybody there. And it's so bizarre how hard it is to capture that energy. I do think there's something, I mean, I know I've seen studies about how like they put like sensors and vents to measure levels of different pheromones and screen different movies for participants in the study. And horror movies and comedies, both, like there were significant, like basically increases in pheromones associated with those behaviors. And even though we don't know that we're always picking up on those pheromones from each other. So I think it is one of those things where if you are physically in that room, there is something chemical happening in your brain that elevates it in a way that you just can't ever experience at home.
Yeah, there's like some chemistry going on there where people are just kind of figuring out. Yeah, like it's kind of like a mob mentality thing, but focused for good.
Yeah. Yeah, like if a flash mob was good.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how many things are lost in that translation too. With like, I feel like I've definitely known or seen comics where like in person, this person's incredible. And then they film it and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And there's also the exact opposite. I feel like we encounter more of the exact opposite, where there's like a lot of people online that are very successful, where it's like, this person is not funny at all. You know,
Yeah.
Somehow it works. Like in person, they're not funny, but somehow they're able to translate it into this specific thing.
It's wild.
And it works. It's really interesting because you'd kind of think on some level, I'd like to think that like funny is funny. And like, that's it. You just got to be like a funny person. and it'll be funny everywhere, but it is really a lot more complicated than that. Probably like that for all kinds of storytelling.
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah.
It's incredible what translates, what doesn't. Do you got any other shows that you've really liked that you've watched? Anything
I don't
like that?
know. One of my favorites ever is Gurren Lagann.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
like-
got that on my list. I'm
It's
gonna
like
try to watch that on the
it's
plane.
like 2 seasons. It's very quick, and it just kind of it's awesome, man. It's all about this guy who's obsessed with drilling. All the humans live below ground because animen, I guess it's like animal human hybrids, have kind of taken over the surface, and they'll kill anyone who goes above the surface.
Awesome.
And these guys are underground, and they're like, we got to get out of here, man. We got to go explore. We got to see what's up there. And then like the person of their, like the mayor of their village is like, shut up, keep digging the city, they basically have jobs digging to expand further underground because the population is growing and they're not allowed to go to the surface. And so basically these guys get the idea, what if we went to the surface? And it kind of kickstarts this whole kind of mech thing.
Love a Mac.
Which is super fun. I love the mech thing, and it ramps super good, and the music's great. You know what? I'm just gonna go home and watch Gurren Lagann again.
Yeah.
That thing's great. Yeah, I don't know. What about you? Anything in particular?
One of them I really liked is Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin, which is it's about
Okay, I feel like
bunch
when
of
I
girls.
ask you this question, you could just be making anything up.
Yeah, I mean,
Keep
there's
your hands off Isaac. We should just do it. That's what this episode should have been: is us just making up animes
I
and
think
just
that's
running
right.
to buy somebody.
Yeah, I gotta say, I gotta recommend Don't Tell Daddy I'm a Vampire Now. That one is
That's 100% a real anime. Don't tell Daddy I'm a vampire now.
Oops, I slipped on a banana peel and now I can't tell anybody what my name is or I'll die.
That's definitely one.
Oh my god.
That's definitely one.
There's a bunch of them that are always like going through Crunchyroll too. There's so many like romance anime that are the concepts are so funny. There's one where it was like we watched the first episode of it because we're like, what the fuck? And it's like, I have 100 girlfriends that love me very much or something. And then I love if you're looking for a comedy, this one is real. There's this thing called Pop Team Epic. So if you want to talk about comics getting adapted into a TV show, there's a type, like our version of how we have like 3-panel comics, right? Like people will do like 3-panel comics online or like, like newspaper strips like Garfield, Get Fuzzy, all that kind of stuff.
Get Fuzzy.
The
What's Get
Japanese
Fuzzy?
standard for that, it's one that we used to have syndicated. I loved it. It's like a guy and a cat and a dog, and he's a real schlub, and his cat and his dog push him around, and it's a bunch of fun. Just
Getting
love
fuzzy
it. Darby
with it.
Conley, shout out.
Shout out Darby. Free clout.
Free clout. Japanese comics are 4 panels straight down, and so it's like just like these 4 hits, which is also interesting. Obviously rule of 3 is big for us. The 4 is, I don't know if that has like a different like timing significance for them, but
It's gotta
be.
They do things differently there.
The adaptation, they adapted that into a TV series, so it'll be like a 12-minute episode, but it'll plow through as many basically like 4-beat jokes as it can. And I didn't realize that it was basically like a newspaper comic that got adapted when we first watched it. And so like the pace and the timing of it was like nothing else I'd ever seen, because it would be like big bold thing, bam, 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 and then cut to another thing. What the fuck is happening? Like I thought it was supposed to be a narrative show at first. But the sense of humor is really strange and really funny. It's 2 characters that are drawn as like stereotypical like Sailor Moon style schoolgirls, but they often just make their faces like hideous. And it is so funny. Like some of the shit they do in this show is like unbelievably funny. So yeah, I highly recommend Pop Team Epic. It used to be on Netflix.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Any other anime shows you want to make up?
Candy corn. I don't know. Candy corn smash prize. Gotta get them all.
Cool.
I think it's like on
Cool.
Halloween. There's like a rare candy corn candy that's coming out, and the neighborhood kids. It all takes place during one night on Halloween.
Insane.
And so it's these kids, and they're just trying to find this candy corn. So they're basically hitting up all the houses. They're smashing everything. They're getting all the different candies. All so they can get this one magic candy corn that grants one wish.
Awesome. You know that they got to trash that whole block. It's completely devastated. There's like every single home is burnt down. There's smoke rising. And then the one kid that ends up getting the wish wishes to make it so the night never happened.
Yeah.
And it reverses everything back to normal.
I want everything to go back to normal. And it's like, great, we get to do this whole thing again.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's the
all
catch.
a cycle we're trapped in. Also, there's a specific energy called ki that all of the children have access to, and they have to master ki in one night so that they can.
Yeah,
I don't know. We need like a magic fighting system involved for these kids.
absolutely.
Candy corn crushing.
They each have their own relationship to the key. So there's one kid who's like a really good illustrator, and he basically has like a giant like mystical pencil that comes down, and it's like Green Lantern. He can draw whatever he wants, and it becomes something he can interact with.
Yes, like Harold and the Purple Marker or
Yeah.
whatever. That thing. I didn't see that movie. Disappointing because that book slaps.
Never read it.
Harold and the Purple Crayon. Oh, dude, you missed out. What were your parents doing? Off doing drugs and murdering people? Didn't have time to raise you?
Yeah.
No Harold the Purple Crayon?
No.
Mr.
I
and
always
Mrs.
came
Bauer.
second to their drugs and murder. I guess
Mr. and
third.
Mrs. Bauer, put the crack pipe down and talk to your son. Please. For the love of God. Look at him. He's pathetic. He hasn't read Harold and the Big Purple Crayon or whatever it was called.
I like that you keep
no.
slightly changing the name of the book. He
No,
hasn't
child.
read Harold and the Big Fat Purple Crayon.
Harold's crayon purple. You didn't see it. You didn't read it.
Harold's Crayon's Purple makes it sound
What?
like it's a book about like going to the doctor. Oh boy.
Take a second out of your day of just slaughtering dolphins in a cove and get it back here and talk to your son.
Yeah.
Talk to your son.
Please.
Take a day off of, putting puddles at the bottom of stairs
Yeah.
for people to
That's their job. They're actually
and
professional
talk
stair
to your
pupplers.
son. Yeah, that's the new anime I've been watching.
Stair puppler.
Stair wetter. Stair wetter, talk to your son. And it's all, and the first panel is mom like, these stairs are all wet. And our lead character Leroy is like, Mom, I'm just doing what I do or I get stairs wet. And she's like, Jackson, talk to your son. And dad's like, oh, he's like reading a page. You never see his face.
Yeah. Oh no, that's
But
a good.
you just see his finger
trope.
wagging at our protagonist as and then he finds more stairs to make wet.
Oh, for sure. He's got a. Yeah, I know exactly how the timing works on this show.
Yeah.
It's gonna cut to like he's gonna get in trouble. It's gonna hold on the frame for a minute, and then we're gonna slow pan up another set of stairs while mischievous music plays, and you're gonna see him at the top with a paintbrush just wetting each stair by stair.
Yeah, and then at the top, there's some kid with a hat turned backwards. He's like, hey, you got those stairs pretty wet. But you can't get them wetter than I do. I feel like we've been recording a lot. I can't tell if this is good or not. This isn't good. We're crashing.
We're crashing.
I'm shutting down mentally.
Oh boy. You know what? Listener, what do you think? Are there any anime we didn't mention that you would have liked to have recommended? Let us know. Send us an email. We'll read it on the pod. We'll talk about some more anime at a future point. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Nerdy for 30. We'll be back here again next week with another episode. And yeah.
That's it. That's the episode. Thank you guys.
Stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.
Bye.
Bye.